where it goes down, where you hear about the sports all around town. In the country, full of controversy to the highlights. You just not safe in the limelight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great episode of The Stoop, where we talk hoops, and more hoops. Once again, we always got to shout out our people at Nuts and Bolts. Thank y'all so much for the opportunity to get this started and this platform moving. As always, I got to say, shout out my guy, my co-host, my partner in crime, Kev P. Talk to the people.
As always, it's a pleasure to be here, and we got a special one for you tonight.
Absolutely, Kev. This is the first father and son combination that's been on The Stoop. So let's take this back. This guy's a New York City, Bronx native, played for a historical program right there in the Bronx, moved his career to Syracuse, then transferred to the west side, the best side, and did some remarkable things at Long Beach State, including being all-conference, first-team all-conference, international player, globetrotter, now with coach. His son is a young phenom, getting recruited by all the top programs in the world. Listen, introducing to y'all Mr. Romel Rock Lloyd and his son, Romel Rock Jr. Lloyd as well. What's up, y'all? Welcome to The Stoop.
Yo,
Pleasure to have y'all, man. Peace to y'all. Peace to y'all.
Yeah,
so listen.
peace to you too, for sure.
Coach Rock, we want to get started with you first. Who introduced you or what introduced you to the sport of basketball?
Well, you know, when I first started playing, it was actually my big cousin who started playing first. You know, I was a football and baseball guy around the way, and then my cousin started playing a little bit, and then everybody around the way started playing ball. So I had to get on the basketball court just to stay with my friends. Basically, I ain't like it at all in the beginning, to be honest with you. But that's how I got introduced to the game.
Solid. So then, around what age do you think you started like feeling yourself and thinking that you could do something with the actual sport of basketball?
I started playing basketball when I was like 10. And then I probably started feeling like I was starting to develop and become pretty good probably by the age of 12, 13. You know, I was a big guy, so I started off just, you know, being like a forward, rebounding, and just playing my role just to be on the court. And I started to fall in love with the game a little bit, and I started working on my handle and my jump shot and everything and developed that somewhat of a fast pace. So, you know, I figured at that point that it was going to be my sport moving forward.
Got you.
It absolutely was. And you did some big things. You went on to play ball in high school. And in New York City, basketball has always been chock full of talent. Private schools are churning out some pretty good players, such as Lamar Odom, Bryce King, Eric Barkley, Ron Artest, and then yourself, of course, the Cardinal Hayes. What was your most memorable matchup from your high school days that you can recall?
Matchup? I wouldn't necessarily say I had a memorable individual matchup because, you know, the talent was so flooded. I mean, the city was so flooded with talent at the time that almost every time I stepped on the court, it was a whole team of guys that was just dudes that I had to go at. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't necessarily say it was an individual thing, but, you know, just in my conference alone, we had Rice High School, you know, we had LaSalle High School, we had All Hallows, we had St. Raymond's. So it was a every night type of thing where you got 3, 4, 5 guys that's going to be high level Division I players, and you know it was just almost a norm for us at the time going out and competing at that level.
Despite all that, you still had a heck of a high school career, and your omission from the '96 McDonald's All-Star Game is still pretty surprising. Some would even say it was a snub. I would say so as well. Were you shocked when you weren't chosen? What do you think the reason for that is?
Well, I wasn't necessarily shocked. I mean, I kind of knew what was going to happen, you know, with somewhat some political things going on that I got wind of a little early of why I didn't make the game or why I wasn't going to make the game. And, you know, let's just, you know, we'll just say we'll leave it at that. So, you know, it's over with now. But I wasn't shocked. I knew it was coming that way because of some political things that happened.
Well, I still say you deserve that spot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
So, hey, Coach Rock.
Yes.
Coming from New York City, Brooklyn and Queens gets a lot of the lore for basketball talent. But you coming from the Bronx, why do you think people get that misconstrued like the Bronx don't put out talent? And did you take that as a chip on your shoulder when you progress with your career coming through high school and college?
No, not necessarily, you know, because, you know, when we're younger and we're playing and competing against each other, it's usually the boroughs against everyone, you know. Right. But as you get older and as you play on a higher level, even in high school when we were going to camps and we were going around the country playing in different things, it basically was New York City versus everybody. So it kind of eliminated the whole borough thing and everything. And I just kind of represented myself, and I felt like I was just representing my city no matter which borough I was coming from.
Absolutely. So you went to a high school that's storied in the Bronx for, big time things in high school basketball. Tell us what that was like for you, and then how did that help to boost your career, getting you ready for the collegiate level of ball?
Yeah, well, me picking Cardinal Hayes was interesting because, like I said, my cousin was first started playing ball, and he got me interested in the game. And he was a couple of years older than me, and he went to Cardinal Hayes. So for me, it was just a no-brainer. I was going to go to Hayes just because I wanted to be with my family. It wasn't necessarily a basketball decision or anything else. I wound up going there. We struggled. Like I said, we was in the best conference in the country at the time. And, I struggled there as far as getting wins and competing for my first 3 years while I was in high school because the talent was just so rich. And then, it was just great that I finally broke through my senior year and ended up leading my team to being the best team in New York City in that division at the time. We came up a little short in the playoffs and didn't win the championship, but we was definitely CHSA regular conference champions. So it was a hell of an accomplishment for us because we struggled for all those years, and it was kind of like I was finally able to get over the hump. And we did it without recruiting and so-called big time players, anything of that nature. We just kind of grinded for 3 years and eventually got to the top of the storied New York City basketball division. So I was very proud of that.
No doubt, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of this, and your size-wise, many people recruiting you and bringing you forth to the game and looking at you on the next level said you had a football stature. You're a brawny guy, not just prototypical point guard.
Right.
Did you think that helped you with your game? And then also, if you think about it, when you were recruited by the Cuse, they had guys like Sherman Douglas and guys that were kind of stocky.
Correct.
Is that
right.
they look? How did that play for you?
Well, to be honest, early in my career, having the body that I had and having the strength that I had obviously was a strength for me in high school, because I was able to, I still had a finesse game. I still could handle it. I still could shoot it. And then if I needed to, I could overpower you with my strength,
Right.
So it was definitely good. But, as you get a little older, seemed like those guys that was like toothpicks and skinny guys all in high school, those are the guys that eventually end up being paid, So going to the next level as far as the NBA and stuff because their bodies naturally filled out more and they grow. I was just like a grown man early. So It could be a little bit of a detriment when you're talking about going into the next level as far as NBA. But, I have no regrets. I was born like this. I use it to my advantage. I had a great opportunity to play all over the world. I made a bunch of money playing basketball and I live my dream still. So, it just is what it is,
Definitely. Absolutely.
I want to touch on our beloved Syracuse. Freshman year there, you quickly became a fan favorite. I remember some of the friends, including myself. But you played limited minutes. You made some pretty good friends in the locker room, probably most notably Jason Hart. How difficult of a decision was it when you decided to transfer to Long Beach? And do you still speak with anybody from the Cuse?
Right. Well, going through that process of being a freshman at Syracuse and, being a heralded guy coming out of New York City. And of course, Syracuse is just a big time program for guys coming from New York City. For me, it was a very tough and difficult year because, I felt like I could contribute a lot more. And, I felt like that my opportunities just wasn't given to me the way they should have been. So transferring for me at the time, being a young 18-year-old male, going to school for the first time, having to face that kind of diversity, not diversity, but having adversity for the first time in pretty much your life and your career, and not understanding how to deal with certain things and how to overcome that adversity, it was tough, because you've been an All-American, you've been a top guy in your class all the time. And sometimes when you go to college, it's not always about just your talent. I think I was extremely talented. I think I was one of the best gifted scorers and natural ability on the team. But I also still had to learn, how to play the college game, how to be part of the team, and how to use my talents to contribute to a winning situation. I'm not going to say it was all on me. I think it was a lot of things that was done wrong on the coaching part, as far as how they treated, me as an individual, how I felt. But once again, being 18 and being young, you don't necessarily understand how to deal with that and overcome those things. So it was a bit of a struggle. I transferred more because at the time, just being so young, I was, extremely embarrassed, first of all, about the situation. I felt like I was going to go to Syracuse and turn out for my city. I always felt like I was representing my city and where I came from. And, I didn't get a chance to do that. So I wanted to almost get as far away from New York and Syracuse as I can at the time, just to kind of start over and start fresh.
Got it.
Coach Rock, they often say the left side or the west side is the best side, but you made the best out of a great opportunity transferring. You went over there with Coach Morgan and got busy. But let me ask you this.
Right.
In between 1997 and 98, how did you stay mentally engaged, even though, you had to sit out that year? How did you keep in tune with your body? How did you, did you put a lot of shots up? What was the transition point for you like during that year off?
Well, that was actually one of my best years as far as conditioning, as far as working out, as far as being focused in my basketball career, because obviously I just came off a disappointing season and the motivation was there and extremely high. So when I went out to California, my first year, I worked on my body nonstop. That was one of my biggest issues and biggest problems at Syracuse was my conditioning. So I wanted to make sure I focused on that. I probably got 15, 20 pounds lighter than I actually was my senior year in high school during that time, where I got to the point where I needed to gain some weight back to play again when it was time for me to be eligible to play. So it was good for me. It was a great transition. It was exploring and experiencing new things, a new I had never been to California before I transferred to Long Beach State. So it was just definitely a good time in my career. I was able to relax, focus on my game, focus on my body, and not have to worry about the pressures of playing and performing into the next year.
Got you.
That time that it gave you to relax and refocus certainly came in handy because you made quite a name for yourself over there in Long Beach State, particularly your senior year. You made it to earn first team all Big West honors and lead the conference in scoring as well. Share with us your fondest memories there, whether basketball related or otherwise.
Say that again, Cal. I didn't hear that part.
Some of your fondest memories from your days at Long Beach State. Doesn't matter if it was basketball or anything.
It's very interesting, my transfer to Long Beach State and my move out there. Career-wise, you can always say either way whether it was good for my career or not good for my career. But the biggest thing I got out of Long Beach State was going to another part of the world, going to another part of the country, I should say. And it was a great life decision for me, outside of basketball and outside of school and all that, just being able to raise my family on the West Coast, have my kids, have them grow up a different way than I grow up and present opportunities for them that may not have been available for them on the East Coast. I just think it was a great life decision for me. And, God put me out here for a reason, and I was just trying to make the best of it.
Got it.
Now, your senior year, you became, all conference and did some things. But let's transition back just a second for your junior year. When you guys went 24-6, and you arguably had one of the best big men you ever played with, and my man Mate. Y'all both averaged double digits. How was that inside-outside tandem that y'all worked as he was y'all big and you was the number one guard? How was that for you as a dynamic duo?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it probably was my worst statistic individual year at Long Beach State. But we had 7 to 8 guys that could have been starters on that team, and I think we all sacrificed a little bit of our game for the greater of the team. Just working with Monte inside out. I mean, he was a European style big guy where he could shoot the ball, he can post. He brought so many dimensions to the game that made it easy for us. We played through him, and we played inside out, and we won a lot of games. So, even though it was probably one of my worst statistical years at Long Beach State, it was probably the best team that I've ever played on in my career.
Right. Okay. Go ahead, Kev.
So we know Rock played professional, and Romel is a highly recruited prospect. And I'm coming over to you right now, young man. I'm sure there have been some epic one-on-one battles. I'm sure. I'm going to assume that by now you're beating Pops up. How old were you the first time? And were you excited or was it like no big deal to you?
First time, probably about like maybe 11 or 12. Obviously, he didn't go to the basket or post up, but I was shooting jump shots. Let me shoot a little bit, so I won. Now, I mean, to this day, he's still, he's always been a big guy, so he can still move the same as he did a little bit when he was younger. So it's still a battle from time to time. I don't want to be down there banging with him like that. So it be close games sometimes still, because now he goes to the basket. I mean, I'm taller than him, but he's still got that big body I mentioned earlier. So it's still war.
All right, so experience is bested by some of that athleticism by now. I get it. So Romel, I wanted to ask you though. You are very fortunate to have such an involved father. He coached you early on, but he was also wise enough to know that you needed to hear some other voices, have some other influences. And I know that Julius V came along. What kind of influences has he had on you?
Julius has been perfect the whole way. I mean, he's always been there for me. Recruitment, advice, training, coaching wise, whatever. So he's just another person I can go to besides Pops, just in case I need to. So he's been great.
Here's a question for the both of you. Rock, watching your son play, what does he have in his arsenal, in that repertoire, that you would say he does better than you? And then when you're done, Romel, I want you to tell me in your top game that you might be a little envious of that you don't have, but you're adding on or working on or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm even going to take the credit for this anyway. But
That's what's up.
Yeah. When he was younger, when he first started to play basketball, and he really wanted to get involved. I always wanted to make sure that he was a point guard. Where I started him with the ball in his hand, and I wanted him to be able to be the best player on the court if he didn't score a point. And that wasn't for me. I was a scorer, and if I was, later on in my career, as I got older and I went further in my career, if I was having an off night, I wasn't as effective or I wasn't as useful for the coaches, and I didn't want that to happen to him. So we put the ball in his hand, and we allowed him to understand that making people better, rebounding, just an overall game. If he needed to score 20, 30, he can. If he needed to drop dimes all game, he can. If he needed to rebound, defend, whatever it is, he can. So I just didn't want him pigeonholed as a scorer like I was. So if he was not having a good night, a good shooting night, that he still would affect the game in a winning way.
Yes, very good. Now, Romel, what's your answer on that? And don't be afraid to throw Pops a little shade.
Pops, he was a straight bucket. So I mean, in terms of like getting 2-guard buckets, like from the wing and just isolation type plays, I feel like he probably got that. Definitely his one leg bounce. I'm a 2-foot jumper. I'm pretty long and tall. I could jump off one and everything, but he was pretty explosive off that one leg. I ain't got that in the bag yet, so he got me on that.
He said in the bag.
So you still got plenty of time to get that together, but
Absolutely.
Right. He can't touch my 2-foot, but off one he probably got it right. But
No doubt.
So straight up
definitely
off
the
the
bully
rebound, that's you.
What was that?
Straight up off the rebound, that's you. The straight vertical.
Oh yeah, I've heard windmill, whatever you need, I got you off too.
Ooh, you talking that talk.
2 feet, I was pump faking until somebody jumped, and then I would go up. So
That's what's up.
Oh man.
All right, so Romel, you've received some offers from lots of schools. I've
Yes.
seen USC, Arizona, LSU, Kansas, St. John's. Those are some pretty well-known names, some heavyweights in basketball programs. Prior to the pandemic, were the two of you guys watching some of these schools and dissecting their offensive and defensive schemes and some of their play calling and stuff like that as a means of deciding where would be a good fit for you?
Not exactly. I mean, yeah, we're basketball heads, so we watch like college basketball, and we do look at things like that just because we love the game and just talk about like things like that. But I mean, recently we looked into it more for personally like myself. But before, just doing it for love of the game, just enjoying watching basketball. But yeah, we definitely do that now in terms of looking at places for me and what system I would fit best in.
Oh, dope. Yeah, TJ.
Hey, Mr. Romel Lloyd Jr.
Yes, sir.
I just want to take my hat off to you and salute
Rock.
you because Lil Rock, I want to tell you this, no matter what, in terms of basketball, those are pretty prestigious schools that are attracting your talents as well. So young man, that's something I got to salute to you. And I continue all the hard work as you progress through your career. I have myself, I work for some illustrious schools right now, hosting and doing some basketball work for some of them. And I know right now in today's world with the young kids, social media is really, really prevalent. So think about it from this aspect. Is social media and the influence giving you more pressure, or is it making this whole process of looking at schools that you may want to attend and narrowing it down, your choices, and making it fun? Or is it both? Which one is it for you?
For me, there's no pressure. I mean, I'm pretty close to my family. You know, I got good guidance, obviously, with pops, moms, everybody is involved. So there's no pressure. Honestly, the social media aspect of it makes it even more fun. You know, it brings you more attention. It makes the process more fun. Social media for me is great. I mean, I love the attention of it, just the schools and the edits and all that. It's just part of the game now, and you got to embrace it, I feel like.
Cool. And another thing, Coach, I got another question for you in terms of how you two interact and things like that. Do you give them conversations like after basketball or the what ifs, and are you preparing him for other things in life as well? Because as they say in coaching, you know, sometimes the ball does have to stop. So are y'all having those conversations as well, and what it looks like for life after basketball or besides basketball?
Right. Well, you know, I have a little bit different philosophy on that than most people.
Okay.
Basketball is going to stop for everyone. So that's a given. So I don't need to, you know, scare him or threaten him or be, hey, man, you know, you got to do this because you know hoop going to stop. Hoop is going to stop for everyone. But, you know, I look at it opposite, that there's such a small window for you to be successful in this game, that my goal and his goal should be to put everything that he has at his best foot forward as much as he possibly can early to achieve his goals now.
No plan B.
You know, they don't need to be a plan B. The plan B is just obvious because nobody plays basketball forever. So for us, plan A, we going full throttle on that, and we trying to make sure that he takes advantage of every opportunity that he has, because the window is very small. Even if he does make it, it's still a very minute part of his life that he'll be playing basketball. So I feel if you're trying to make it as a professional or make this a living for whatever time your body allows you to, that you need to put everything into it now.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
So with that being said, you've kind of gone through this process of deciding who you're going to, and this is a big deal here. This is not a very easy decision to make. What advice have you given him in terms of the decision-making process of where he's going to sign to?
Right. Well, you know, as far as advice is concerned, I think advice comes from people who are on the outside or have not been involved in this whole process. You know, this is he's my son, so I've been involved in this process since birth. You know, of mentoring him, being his dad. You know, teaching him right from wrong, so on and so forth. So I wouldn't necessarily say I would sit down and give him advice. It's just a normal relationship that we have of constant talking, constant teaching, you know, constant understanding, constant back and forth, listening to his opinions, you know, giving him my opinions. So there's no like advice per se. It's just, you know, our relationship basically, I think is from day one has been preparing him for the moments that he's coming up and going through his recruitment and becoming a young man.
So we talk about some of these preparations being made, but a preparation none of us are ready for the pandemic.
Absolutely.
It's shown us just how quickly we can have things we love ripped in an instant.
Absolutely. Yeah,
how difficult was it for you during the shutdown, and how has it changed the whole recruiting and selection process?
You know, I'll answer it first. You know, for me and for what I think about us, it was extremely difficult and difficult for everyone, you know, involved. This is not a basketball thing, or this is just a human race thing.
Yeah.
So looking at it for us and for me especially, I came out of things with a little bit of a refreshing view of being appreciative of everything that we do have and understanding how blessed we are moving forward. You know, so although we may have struggled a little bit with just not getting in the gym or not being able to play or the recruitment or whatever, those are really, really small things when you look at the total, the big picture. And you look at life and you look at people getting sick and families losing their life and losing their income. So, I feel that we have been pretty blessed throughout the pandemic still to be where we are. So I'm just excited to be kind of moving things back in the direction of being somewhat of normalcy and appreciative of the fact that we're here, we're healthy, and we have a chance to move forward.
And Romel, what's your take on that, sir?
I mean, pretty much going back to what he said, about life and everybody who's affected in general. In terms of basketball, it didn't really take too much of a hit on me. Recruitment was still the same, it's still every day, this colleges offers everything coming in. So, for basketball wise, it really didn't affect me. But whatever he said about life and everything like that, I agree with that.
Absolutely. I can recall playing ball at 18, 19 years old, and if I was not allowed to, pretty much had to shut it down, I probably would have went stir crazy. But
Absolutely. I mean, I think Romel played this weekend for the first time in 7 months.
wow.
So, yeah, he just got a game in for the first time in 7 months. So, I was like, man, I can't wait till he started playing. But we just was happy that like I said, we're healthy, man. And I can't really complain. So many people had so much tragedy from this pandemic that I would look stupid complaining about, not going to the gym for a couple of months. You know what I mean?
Agreed, 100%. How was the jump shot after 7 months off?
You know what? It actually wasn't too bad. I was really surprised. He played really well. His first two games back, he played really well. His win was decent. His game looked good. He looked sharp. I think he was, I think the fact that nowadays the kids play so much, and sometimes they take, playing for granted. Every game is not, super intense or, he's like, we got another game, it don't matter. But I think I've seen a sense of urgency, a sense of appreciation of being back on the floor, and I thought he looked well. He looked good.
7 months.
My answer to that question is once a bucket, always a bucket.
That's all. That's a soundbite right there.
Absolutely. We want to thank you both for an amazing interview, an amazing time. I do got one more question for the both of you as well. Coach Rock, listen, you had an opportunity to get in your trick bag some years ago being a part of the illustrious Harlem Globetrotters. What was that experience like for you? And for Lil Rock, you got a couple of tricks up your sleeve that you might have borrowed from Pops from his Globetrotter days. What's up? Talk to me.
Well, I'll answer first. The Globetrotters was a great experience. I mean, it's such a historic program.
Right.
I was just happy to be a part of it. It's very interesting that the average fan doesn't really see how the Globetrotters work when you come to the games. At the time, the Globetrotters used to go to the Final Four and play against the college all-star seniors. Mm-hmm. And the Globetrotter was actually used for a platform to get jobs overseas or get pro job NBA tryouts and everything. So if you really look at how the shows are broken down, there's really two teams within one. So one team is the team that does all the tricks, and the other team is a serious basketball team. So I pretty much played on a serious team. I never was one that had a whole bunch of tricks in my game and stuff. So what they would do is they would alternate quarters. We would play for like 2 quarters, and then we'll have some kind of transition play where the guys that come in to put the show on will perform. So it kind of make it look like to the fans and the crowd that it was just one team. But they made me learn one routine just for the circle to start the show off with. So I had my little trick, boom, I pass it, and I was done. Outside of that, I was just getting buckets like I always did. So it was a great experience.
All right.
So you, Mel, what you?
I never even seen him do anything. I know it probably was a great experience to experience that.
So what you're saying is I'm not going to be able to see you in an episode of Scooby-Doo no time soon.
You ain't hey, Lil Rock, you ain't got no tricks? Or let me ask you this. Is there a go-to move that you got? You got like a hezzy tween or something that you go to, a move that you rock with hard?
I'll definitely come down to Hezzo about 40 feet out and pull it in your face.
40 feet. He letting him go.
All right.
Definitely keeping an eye on you. So.
Yeah, we gotta watch that. Well, listen. Once again, we want to thank you both for jumping in and being a part of the Stoop. We greatly wish you the both very best and make sure that you and your family stay safe. Coach Rock, Romel, both of you have been instrumental in each other's lives. We want you to continue that father-son bond, and it's super dope to see how y'all just get together, y'all laugh and y'all share. And we super salute y'all as men, and we want to see y'all both shine. So thank y'all so much for being a part of Stoop tonight. We greatly appreciate that.
Appreciate it, brothers. Y'all stay safe too, man. Anytime.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been another great episode of The Stoop for my guy, Kev P. We'll catch you next time. See you soon.
Some say that it gets no real on the field or the court. We capture the thrillers. Some opinions and all of the truth. Real people talking real sports on The Stoop.